Hello, welcome to the channel. Linus is the name, and we are still talking about how to make money selling internet. In today's video, we are talking about how do you choose the right internet service provider for you. Alright, so how do you choose the correct internet service provider for you? Now, based on the fact that your business is basically reselling internet, that means internet is the backbone of everything. So that means your internet service provider has got to be really good in order for you to also deliver a really good service. Now, here are some of the things to look at before you decide on what service provider you should go for, because there are very many of them in the market, and many of them do offer heaven on earth and deliver. I don't want to say the other one, but you know, they offer a lot and deliver almost none of the above. So let's look through some of the criteria of what you need to understand before you commit to one particular internet service provider. Now, before you go looking at what provider and how much data, first of all, let's look at roughly your user case, your customers. Analyze your customers depending on where you have set up. What are their likes? What are their wants? What do you think they're going to incline to in terms of, what are they going to be doing on your network? Now, basing on that, if you do have heavy users, of which most times when you tell someone you're doing a hotspot service, high chances the guys who don't want to buy mobile data are going to come to you because they want to have a freedom to download whatever they want. That means you're going to have some heavy users. So analyze and break it down and say, okay, fine, if I have X number of users on my network, how much bandwidth do I want each of them to get for them to be comfortable surfing on my service? It's comfortable for them to have a good experience on your network. So once you analyze that, that will tell you roughly how many megabits per second your base link needs to be, to give you a rough idea of how many megabits per second you need to buy. Because remember, your business is literally reselling internet. So the one you have coming in has got to be big enough so that when you sell to 4, 5, 6, 10, 15, 30 people, they are all comfortable sharing this one pipe of link without them freezing, without them dropping off. Because once a client drops off, they're going to say the network is slow, and if they do not, if they don't get good quality of service, they're definitely going to drop off and they will not come back to your network. So analyze your users. On average, I tend to multiply my users and put them at roughly 4 megabits per second, 4 to 5 megabits per second. That is the sweet spot. Now, 4 to 5 megabits per second, especially for me here in Uganda, I don't know what the situation is outside there. Some people are surfing their wireless internet for even way slower than that. But to be on a good point, not too slow, not too fast, just striking a good balance, I normally put at about 5 megabits, 4 to 5 megabits per second per user. Now, depending on how many users I'm expecting on my network running simultaneously at the same time, I can easily multiply that by the total number of users. Now, what I normally do personally is I multiply by about, give or take, 10 simultaneous users. So if it's about 4 megabits per user times 10, that brings me to roughly about 40 megabits per second. So now when I use that calculation, I know that my base network should be at least 40 megabits per second. That way, even if I have 9 to 10 users running at the same time, my network will not slow down. Now, it's not necessarily that is the minimum amount of users I can use. Of course, many more can get on, but of course, remember, the more you have, the slower it gets. That's why getting it right at the beginning helps you a lot more. Because with 40 megabits per second, I know I can comfortably, really comfortably have about even 30 people on there if they're just doing simple stuff like TikTok and updating their WhatsApp statuses and reading messages and reading emails, and I can have 20 to 30 people on that network, comfortably. But in order to have, to balance it out properly, I normally multiply by about 4 Mbps per person then I give it a rough number, let's say 10 people, so that's about 40 megabits per second. So in my use case scenario, when I'm looking for the smallest amount of speed I can start with, that is what I'd be looking at. Now your scenario might be different, your users might be different. That's what I'm saying. Analyze your users, understand what they need to do on your network, and then that will help you determine on the back end just how much bandwidth you need for the beginning. Number 2 is always go for an unlimited internet service provider. I'll say this again. When you're buying your internet that you're going to resell, always go for an unlimited internet service provider. Now, we've had very many cases where people come out and say, oh, we give you unlimited service, we give you unlimited service, it's unlimited internet. And then somewhere in very tiny letters, they put fair usage policies. If you download past this point, we cut down. If you go beyond, you see all that madness in the background. So the one thing you need to make sure is when you are committing to a particular internet service provider, they have got to be 100% unlimited. No terms and conditions, no fair usage policy, no throttling, no all of that. So you've got to do a lot of research. Now, I'll be releasing a video a little bit later on who is, especially here in Uganda, I'll be releasing a video talking about who is the best internet service provider. I'll be dropping a list of about 10 of them, the top 10 as of this year 2024. I'll be dropping the top 10 internet service providers in Uganda. That video will be coming out very soon. Lots of research has gone into that particular video, so you might want to watch out for that one. I'll be dropping it anytime soon. But depending on the country you're watching me in, make sure that one, the internet service provider you're getting is totally unlimited. They don't have any throttling. Many of them will tell you we're giving you unlimited, but in actual sense, they're just going to allocate you like maybe 900 GB. And once you finish that 900 GB, if let's say you bought a 20 Mbps link, they will say maybe after 900 GB, you'll drop to 3 Mbps, which is just totally horrible. You don't want that, because you see, you're not the only person using this internet. You're reselling it to many people. Those people are doing different things on your network. So definitely, if they're throttling in terms of how many GBs you've downloaded, you're going to deplete a terabyte very quickly. 1000 GB is not really that much. If you connect 10, 15, 20 people to it, it's going to get done really, really fast. The other way you can do it, I'll be discussing this later on when we're talking about captive portals and how to set up. You could maybe allocate, when you're reselling, also sell your data packages and kind of bundles, but still, it just doesn't make up for the fact that you need an unlimited data connection. Totally unlimited, no terms and conditions, no fair usage policy. So do your research on that before you pick up on which internet service provider you should go for. Very, very, very important, that one. They have got to be unlimited. Now, the other thing is most internet service providers do not like it when you resell their internet. Many of them, in their terms and conditions, if you take time to read them, somewhere in there, they will tell you do not resell. It is for final consumer use, do not resell. Now, of course, they will not stop you from reselling, but many of them, when they do discover that you're reselling their internet, high chances they will terminate your contract and they will no longer provide you with internet. So you have got to be very, very careful and analyze your service providers, see how strict are they on the terms and conditions, especially on resale of the internet. Number 2, the other way to circumvent all of this is you can go for a leased line. Leased lines tend to be a lot more expensive and their billing is way totally different. But if you get a leased line, you're free to do whatever it is you want with that particular leased line. But all I can say is they do come at a higher cost than, this ordinary internet that they do provide for you. Now, the other thing to also consider when getting your internet service provider that's going to provide you with internet is I highly recommend you get a fiber connection. Like the way they deliver it to your premise, to your base station, to your starting point, it has got to be a fiber connection. Why I always tell people to go for fiber is, one, fiber is more stable. You're not going to have any disruptions in terms of your internet speeds, especially when they say the weather is not good, or when it starts raining or stuff like that. Your internet's got to be really great. 2, fiber, most times on fiber, when the client tells when the internet provider tells you they are giving you 20 Mbps, high chances you'll always get 20 or 19. It won't really deviate that much. On wireless provision, for example, using microwave technology, sometimes the internet speeds are all dependent on so many factors: distance, weather, all these other things, interruption, interference by other networks, stuff like that. So you'll always vary. Your variations will be pretty high. So you'll find you bought a 20 meg link, 20 Mbps link, and then sometimes you're at 15, sometimes you're at 10, sometimes you're at 20, and stuff like that. So I always highly recommend people to get a fiber link. It will be a lot more stable with, you know, your connection. The other thing to consider when you're talking about getting an internet service provider for you to resell your internet is how fast is their customer service. How fast do they reply to your queries? How quick do they fix issues, for example, when the internet is down? Why I'm saying this is you are reselling to other people. Those people have paid their money. If the internet goes down, the people you call that, hey, the link has gone down, how fast they respond and fix you and get you back up determines how good you are as a service provider to your clients on this side. So if your internet provider is slow and they're the ones who take forever, their customer care lines are never on, they tell you we shall fix it and they take 2 weeks to fix it, they are definitely messing around with your business. So you've got to find one that is really fast, the kind whereby if you call at, let's say, 8 a.m., my internet service has gone down, you call at 8 a.m., by 8:30, they have somebody on site and is fixing it and you're good to go. Now, those are the good internet providers to go for, because the more downtime you have, the more you affect your clients, the more they lose trust in you, and they can easily jump onto another provider. So those are some of the factors to consider when you are picking out what internet service provider you should get. Now, bare minimum, the really bare minimum in terms of speeds. What is your lowest amount of data speed you can buy? If you're serving a really small number of people, for instance, you're in a housing estate and you have maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 clients that are always on, you're in maybe a business area and you have less than 10 people on there. Remember the calculation I told you earlier? For me, I multiply 4 Mbps per person, but you can even drop it to lower. But in this particular case, do not go below 10 Mbps. Please, don't go below 10 Mbps. When you're buying, like your internet service provider, the main one you're going to resell, don't go below 10 Mbps, because below that you're really going to have super slow internet. And at the end of the day, you want your internet to be fast so that you attract more customers. So don't go below 10 Mbps. If you could get 50 Mbps, even better, because with 50, when you have few clients, the speed is lightning fast. When you have more clients on there, it will handle them, give them good amount of internet, and yet still be able to handle a bigger number of clients. So if you can get 50, the better. If you're really on a tight budget, do not go below 10 Mbps. Okay, that is it in terms of picking your internet service provider. What should you consider? Who should you consider? In the next video, we get to talk about delivery methods. The one I hinted on, which is the beam method, which these are not necessarily industry standards, but this is what I call them. There will be the beaming method, and then there will be the drop-in method, which I call the drop-in. I don't know what the industry standard is. These are names that I call them myself. So the beam method, the drop-in method, and then we get to start talking about hardware. What do you need? I've seen many people talking about how do I create a captive portal, how do I do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. In the next video, we start talking about the technical side of things, because now we've understood our location, By now, I hope you're watching these things in the series in their playlist. We've understood the location, where and how you should set up. 2, we've understood how to pick your internet provider. That one is going to bring you internet that you're going to restore. So now I'm assuming, yes, you've got your location. You're like, I'm going to set up there. 2, you've decided this is the person going to provide me the internet. Maybe you've done all the purchases and what, and have brought and installed the internet. Now 3, let's start talking on how we can now start broadcasting this internet to the different places, to the different people. Will it be a beam method? Will it be a drop-in method? Will it be all these other things we'll be talking about? Will it be a cable method? We'll be dissecting that in the following video. So I do hope that you're finding this series helpful for you. I hope I am not too slow, and I hope I'm actually bringing out all the concerns that you do have. Now, if you do have any questions, comments, concerns, or just want to know a little bit more of anything, or maybe you think I've missed out on something in here, drop me a comment in the comment section. I shall definitely be replying to that. And you can also find me on Twitter or X at TechSelectUG, or you can drop me an email at TechSelectUG, and I'll definitely be glad to hear from you. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye-bye.